Hi, I'm Callum from Time Valley Motorhomes, and this is the handover on the Auto Trail Comanche. So underneath this locker, which is behind the driver's door, open it with the tri-mark square key, and then if you get your hands and just get your foot and help it up, because otherwise it's quite fiddly to get your fingers in the back. You do have your main hookup area, so this is where you hook the vehicle up, which is your mains connection. So you get your hookup blade, expose the connection, clip it onto the van first, then the sight, and do it in reverse order when unhooking so that you're never walking around with the live lead. Place the lead in the groove here and you can lock this. You've got your two 20 amp battery fuses here at the back, so they just clip in. So they're your main battery fuses for the two leisure batteries which are here, which are two 92 amp hour banger batteries. So you've got two on there. Two fully charged batteries should last you between 5 and 6 days off grid. Then you do have your wastewater outlet. So anything that you've put down the plug hole goes into a waste holding tank. Open it on the side there and you'll be able to drain off your wastewater. Making sure that you drain this off before you leave your site so that you're not driving around with dirty water which is just adding weight to the vehicle for no reason. Because all it's going to do is eat up weight in your payload and you're going to use more fuel for your engine consumption. So drain this off. Normally you drive over a grid or as close to a grid, open it off, leave it open when you are travelling to allow any loose water to drain off, and make sure that this is fully drained off in the winter to avoid the water from freezing. Further back you do have some storage. This is a great place to put your hookup cable, your levelling ramps, your outdoor wellies, things like that that you don't that are wet and muddy and you don't want to put inside the vehicle. Behind the kitchen you do have some storage. So this is another storage locker which is accessible via the habitation key, which is your round-headed key now, not your square, your round-headed, which opens all the locks, which is this one here. So you can lock and unlock that. So you've got two wheel points here. This one here, both of them slide up, is your external shower. So supplied with the vehicle, you'll get a connection with a trigger gun on the other end of the hose. It just pushes in there. On the other end, you've got a trigger gun, like I've said. With the pump on, you'll get a pressurised flow of water to hose the bikes off, the boots off, the dog, the muddy shoes, and then you would just put the blank back in. And this is lockable via the water cap key, which is this small chrome key. And in here, carry yourself a hose pipe with some hose pipe connections, because it's mainly just a brass tap provided by the site. Leave this end of the hose completely blank, so you can put the hose between the two grooves here, clip it in, and then fill it until it overflows or until you're happy you've got enough water on board. If you can't get the hose to the vehicle and you can bring an aqua roll or a bucket of water, there's a wheel submersible point here. So this gives power, one end in there, pump into the water, it'll suck the water up and put it in to the main freshwater tank. But mainly you would just use a hose pipe when you arrive on your site, fill it, or if you're on a super site with the water at the back of the pitch, you could just fill this. If you are travelling, if you're wild camping, you will have to take a full tank of water with you, because there'll be nowhere to get water on route to your lay-by or stop-off that you're going on. Whereas on a site, get the water at the site, but you can travel with a maximum of 20 litres of water, which still gives you enough to use your own toilet, have a cup of tea on a longer journey when you're driving down to your site in the vehicle. Behind the driver's wheel, you do have your freshwater drain-off point. So if you've taken on a source of contaminated water, you're not using the vehicle for a while, or you're draining it down for the winter, you want to open the freshwater tap. So you'll open that up, allow it to drain. If you're driving back with no water, you could leave this open just to rock any loose water out the tank, but make sure it's fully drained off, especially in the winter, to avoid the water from freezing. But this is your freshwater drain off point. So at the back of the driver's side of the vehicle, you do have a access door to your garage. But on the garage door, you've got this little device here. So when this door's open, it does turn off the Aldi heating and hot water system, because if the door was back like so, it blocks the vent, which is the exhaust vent for the heating system and hot water system. So you don't want to block that, because you'll stop the fumes from coming out the exhaust and going back into the vehicle. So that's why that little device here with this catch goes onto there and stops that from working. D-rings in the floor so you can tie your load in the garage area down so it doesn't move when in transit. In this corner here, you do have your drain down for the boiler. So it's very important that you drain the boiler down in the winter to stop it from freezing when we're experiencing frost. So that can be anywhere from the back end of October to March, April time. So what you need to do is you need to lift this toggle up. The water will come out the vehicle. 10 litres in the boiler, which is situated behind this panel, will drain directly out on the floor. Open your fresh and waste on the outside. Open all your taps within the van. Remove your shower head from the shower hose and lie the shower hose in the shower tray. Turn your pump on once you've drained it all down for 10 seconds, just to blast any water or any remaining water in any pipelines out, and then leave the vehicle, and this is it all drained down. When you come to reuse it, however, you'll have to pressurize the system. So it's just in reverse. You would shut the boiler, shut the fresh and waste, assemble all the taps and close them inside. Once you've got filled the van with water, put your pump on and open the cold side of the tap first. Your cold side of your tap will give you a pressurized flow of water straight away. As soon as you start mixing on the mixer tap to a bit of hot, it'll start to cough and splutter and your water pressure will drop. And what that's doing is it's transferring the water from the fresh water tank underneath the van into the boiler, before on hot you get a full pressure of hot water. Obviously it will be cold because it will not be hot, but until the water comes through pressurized on the hot side of the tap, it'll just cough and spit and splutter for about 5 minutes. So it's just priming the system. It's totally normal. It'll go through its cycle. Once you do one tap, do them all, then your system is primed and ready for the season ahead. But it's very important that you drain the boiler down and all the water system, because it's not covered under warranty. If it is caused by frost damage, it's down to you to drain the vehicle down. So that's your boiler drain. On the back panel of the vehicle, you've got your high level brake light and your reversing camera. Using the habitation key, you can take off the Auto Trail emblem in there on the badge, and behind that there's a nut, and you can lift this panel off, and there's a full size spare wheel behind there. This is your external gas point. So this uses the main bottle on board to provide gas to a Cadac or an external barbecue. So again, very similar to the water ones, you lift the flap up, you don't pull it off, you lift it up. There's a quick release connection here that needs cut off. This end, short end, goes into here. The ribbed end goes onto a length of gas hose, which then needs securing with a Jubilee clip on this end and a Jubilee clip on the barbecue or Cadac, unless you have the proper Cadac fitment, which is just a push connector, which you can buy from online from Cadac. Pop that in there. Once you've popped it in there, you can turn the gas tap on, and that will use the bottle on board the vehicle to provide the gas supply to the barbecue without using or carrying a separate bottle. So directly behind the passenger seat, you do have this lever here, and this lever opens your gas locker. So you would just pull it back all the way. It's on a cable system and release, and this will open the gas bottle locker. Once the gas bottle locker is open, you'll be able to get inside, and this will take 2 13 bottles, or 1 13 and a 6, depending on what you want to run with. So it's quite a big locker. I've got my 6 kilogram test bottle on, just to show you appliance is working. So first of all, you'd put the bottle in. If the bottle was staying in, you would put the strap round the centre of the bottle and tie the bottle in. So it's nice and safe and secure, and it isn't going to move when you drive. Then you would connect this pipe here, which runs from the regulator to the bottle, which is known as a pigtail. So left to tighten, right to loosen. Hand tighten first of all, then get a gas spanner or an adjustable wrench like I have here and nip it up before turning the cylinder on at the top, 1 or 2 turns. There's a motion valve here, which is also known as a crash valve, gas safety valve. You need to press that in. That will allow the gas from the bottle through into the pigtail. Without pressing that, you'll get no gas to your appliances inside the vehicle. So just gas won't leave the bottle. So you need to press that, allow it in, and then just make sure that the crash sensor on the regulator, which is a Truma regulator, hasn't gone off. If it has, the yellow bit will pop out. You need to press and hold it for 10 seconds to do a reset. That will allow it to go back flush, and you'll be able to use the gas inside the van, because again, the gas, if that pops out, the gas won't come any further than this point, so it'll not go into the van. Make sure the bottle's turned off before you drive, and make sure it's strapped in so it's nice and safe and secure for you and other road users. If you are carrying a reserve bottle, once one bottle is empty, take the pigtail off and pop it on the other, and then turn it back on, press the black stopper button to allow the gas in, and you're away again. You've got a gas supply. On the Fiat Ducato, your fuel and your AdBlue are located beside the passenger door. So you open the flap, no need to open the door first, you can just open that back. To fill with diesel, you use the main ignition key as it's lockable. And then underneath, with it being a new styled diesel engine, it does take 19 litres of AdBlue, which will do 5,500 miles. However, once you've done around 4,500 miles, you'll get a warning on the dash saying the AdBlue level is low. The easiest way to fill it is by pulling into a petrol forecourt that sell AdBlue on the pump. You'll pay between £1.20 and £1.30 a litre, and you'll just be able to pop the, like fuel, pop the nozzle in, hold the trigger until you start getting a little bit of AdBlue dribbling out, and it's full. And that's far cheaper than buying it in the drums, because some drums will charge you £30 for 10 litres. This will take 2, that's £60. Whereas 19 litres on a pump, you'll probably be putting in about 10 to 14 litres maximum once the light comes on. On the slam panel of the passenger door, you do have your tyre pressures and your 3 axles with your tyre pressure and tyre size, should I say. So if you're ever needing to top the pressures up, go to a tyre fitter, as their compressors and tyre gauges are set for these pressures, whereas some petrol forecourts and things will not be set for this and will take air out of your tyres. Underneath the floor on the Ducato, lifting this panel up, you do have the location of the engine battery. So it isn't underneath the bonnet, it's underneath here. So if you ever need to change it, it has got to come out the cab floor. Underneath the passenger seat, removing this cover off, turning that and pulling the toolkit out so you can take it outside. You'll have a jack, a brace, a tone eye and a screwdriver in there. And then on the side of the bonnet, you do have, on the side of the dash, you do have your bonnet release. Now underneath the bonnet, so the main fluid you're going to need is your screen wash, which is located just above the driver's headlight. And if you want to fill your coolant, you release these 3 tabs, lift this part of the scuttle off, and you can fill the coolant. And next to it, you have your brake fluid, your oil filler. There is no dipstick now, it's all done through the dash. So if it tells you that it needs oil, take it to a local Fiat garage or someone that can plug it in so you can read the level of oil that's in the engine, so you know exactly how much to put in. But that's your oil filler. Paint codes here for the R10's grey. Weight plate, so you go off this weight plate now, stage 2 conversion. It was a chassis cab, it's now a motorhome, so it's 5 tonne with a tonne on the tow bar if you get one fitted. So it's 6 tonne train weight, front and back axle weights, which you've got 3 of because it's a tag on this model. Earth for giving or receiving a jump start. So you would put your black clip on there, and then situated down beside the air intake filter, which is here. If you use a screwdriver or your key or anything flat, just pop it here, lift this back. You've got a positive for giving or receiving a jump start. You can go direct to the battery, but you can also have jumping points underneath the bonnet. Now on board the vehicle, to operate your Sergeant control panel, press enter. You can turn the panel on and off here, which is your 12 volt switch. You come to the home screen. The first one you get is your lighting. So if you click on lighting, you can turn on your entry light, which is this light here above the panel. Turn on your main lights, which need to be switched on, and then all are individually switched around the van, but without that on you'll get no power to any switches, so turn that on first. You've got your awning light on the outside of the vehicle, and then you've got your two dimmers, so you can turn them on, and if you press and hold you can dim them down, but you can adjust the dimmer level to suit so that you can dim them down to the level that you want them at. Going back to the home screen, and you've got power. So it tells you that your leisure battery, which is the battery at the back, looks like the trailer is charging, and you've got the carb, which is showing a battery level 2, and you can see that the amperage is currently coming in and it's under load. Solar panel does go to sleep when the vehicle is hooked up, as it can't compete with the power that mains 240 volt is bringing in. But in the winter, or if you standing the vehicle up for any length of time on the auto trails, what you can do is you can change it so that the hookup is charging the van battery as well. But at the moment you want it to be on the leisure when using it, so you want to make sure the leisure side of it's charging. But if you press here, it's now charging the vehicle battery and topping that up so that you'll not get a flat engine battery. But like I say, when using it you always want to make sure it's on this battery here, because you don't want to then leave it on the engine, take it away while camping and drain your engine battery. So make sure that the leisure battery is on. Mains capacity, you can see that's coming in there. And then if you go back to home, you can go to water. So 50% fresh water on board, 0 waste. If you're away in the winter, this is fitted with tank heaters, so you can turn the tank heaters on, and it'll stop the water from freezing overnight if it's going to drop below freezing when away in the van. Turn your pump on, which you need to have on to use the taps, toilet, shower, exterior shower. And then if you are filling from a aqua roll or a bucket with this wheel submersible pump, you need to turn fill on, which is tank fill, which gives the mains power to the point in the water filling cap. Environment will show you your internal humidity and temperature, and external humidity and temperature. And then you can go in the settings and you can turn the beep off. The lighting mode, you've got various in here, so we'll turn that off. It tells you your units, numbers, but that is your Sergeant control panel. To operate the Aldi heating and hot water control panel, first of all press the on button. Then you'll notice you're hooked up. If you press indoor, this is the temperature. And at the top figure, which is currently saying 26, is the air temperature inside the vehicle already. So it's currently reading 26 degrees in here at the moment. And then the bold figure underneath of 12.5 is what we've got it set to. But if you wanted the heating on, you can turn it all the way up to 30 degrees maximum. It does need to be above the outside air temperature, so the 25.5 or 26 that's shown now, it does need to be above that for it to kick in, otherwise it won't kick in. So at 30 there, it will warm up another 4 degrees. Pressing menu and pressing hot water, you can turn your hot water on. So you've got two settings on the hot water. You can have it on, or you can have it on boost. Boost will turn off the heating and prioritize the hot water. On will run the heating and hot water on together. Should you have the hot water on with the heating, they'll run together on. Should the temperature of the heating be turned down, the hot water will just work on its own. You then have the energy source, so you can choose which energy source you want to work off. So you can work off gas or electric, but you've got 3 settings on the electric. So you've got 1 kilowatt, which is 750 watts of mains power. You've got 2 kilowatts, which is 1850 watts of mains power, and you've got 3 kilowatts, which is also better known as 6 amp, 10 amp, and 16 amp on the feed that you get off the site. You've then got gas, so you can turn the gas on should you be wild camping, or should you be in desperate need. You can use the electric and the gas together, which will reduce the time it takes to heat the vehicle or the hot water. And then if you press here, so from page 1 to page 2, you can turn on high altitude mode, only to be used on altitudes above 1,000 meters. So if you're higher than that, you can turn that on. That's just when the air is a bit thinner. It helps the boiler work better with thinner air going through it. You can press menu as well. You can set day and night mode, so that'll run for the time you selected at the temperature, then switch between 2. But if you scroll down, you can press reset. So you can reset. If you ever get a warning, you can press reset, and you can completely turn off this control panel and start again with the temperature, the hot water, and the energy source. But that's how you'd use your Aldi heating and hot water control panel. So you've got temperature, energy source, and hot water on the main screen. To use the Thetford fridge and freezer, so you've got on this model, large freezer, large fridge, data stickers at the back if you ever need any parts down here with all the numbers on of the fridge. But before we get on to how to use it, I'm just going to tell you that when you're not using it, you need to leave the doors open. So if you lift these back, there's little clips. Give it a clean out once you have used it, so it doesn't smell of the food that you've had in there last. Pop them into the little clips on the frame. Allows the door to stay open so air can circulate in and out of the fridge and freezer when it is not in use and parked up. However, when you use it, you turn it on here. So press and hold, turn it on. This is your energy side. So A stands for automatic energy selection. So it's an automatic fridge, and it will jump between mains 230 volt, which will always put itself onto. The engine battery, when the vehicle starts, it'll switch on to 12 volt, which only keeps the temperature, which is the same as when it was departing at. So it's got to be pre-chilled beforehand. Otherwise, putting it on from not being on will not achieve anything, because it's just a fan that circulates the temperature and the coldness within the fridge and freezer round until you go back to hook up, which obviously cools it again, or gas, which you'd use if you're wild camp. But once you turn the engine off on the automatic setting, it does wait 20 minutes before lighting on gas. In case you forgot to turn your gas off, it's a safety feature. In case you've pulled in for petrol, at a petrol fork or for diesel even, and you have left the gas on, it starts sparking where there's naked flames of petrol. So it does wait 20 minutes. So to combat this and overcome it, you'd press this button here, take it off the automatic. You've got mains 230 volt hookup. You've got battery, which is failing now because the engine's not running, and you've got gas. And then it self-ignites, and you'll hear it click, click, click in the background. And then it will light. This is your temperature. 1 being the warmest, 5 being the coldest. So when pre-chilling, it's great if you keep this at home, because a couple of days before you'll hook the van up, charge your leisure battery, put your fridge on. The night before, put your shopping in. But once you put your shopping in, you want to turn it down. So to 3 from 5. And then you've got a little heater here which stops this control panel from misting up, and it stops the rubbers from sticking on the frame. It's called a frame heater. But that's how you'd operate your Thetford fridge. But if I was you, I would just leave it on automatic. It'll do its own thing. The only time you'll have to turn it off automatic is if you wanted it to go on to gas straight away if you are wild camping. However, if you're on sites and you hook the van up, it'll automatically know that you've hooked the van up and go to mains 230 volt. Making sure when you travel, you just put your little travel catch on the bottom of the door as well. This will stop it from springing open when in transit. Above the fridge freezer on this model, you do have your Russell Hobbs 800 watt microwave. So this only works when hooked up. If you're not hooked up, don't expect this to work because it's a main household appliance. In the kitchen on the Comanche, you do have one electric hot plate, which is this one here. That'll work on mains 230 volt, so you've got to be hooked up for that to work. If not, you do have your gas, so you've got the back one, this front one, and then you also have the other one. There you are. 3 gas rings, 1 electric hot plate. Whatever rings you have had on, whether it's gas or electric, if you let them cool down so that they're cool enough before putting the glass lid down, otherwise you will smash the glass if it is too hot when you put the lid down. This is your grill pan. There's your grill away. You may have to hold the knob in just to keep it held in to warm the thermocouple up before releasing. And then underneath you do have your oven. So your oven, you may want to take your grill pan and oven shelves out while travelling, but always remember to put your oven shelf back in this way with the 2 little gap stoppers at the back, because it stops the burner from being blocked with the tray. And then any parts you need, this is your part sticker for your oven, which is again made by the same company as the fridge, which is Thetford. Underneath you do have your gas taps, so any problems with gas, turn the bottle off to be safe because you're isolating the main source. However, these are mainly for when the vehicle is annually habitation serviced. A technician will test each gas appliance. So you've got your oven, you've got your fridge, you've got your barbecue, and you've got your Aldi heating and hot water system. These are all on. To turn them off, it's that way, but just leave them. If you ever have any problem with gas, just make sure you haven't knocked them when you've been in here and closed them. But these are 4 gas isolation valve taps. Just above the driver's seat, you do have the location of your Sargent power supply unit. So this is the EC700 unit. So you've got one system shutdown button here, which is like a 12 volt isolation switch, which will turn off all 12 volt to the habitation area. But it'll also turn off the stereo in the cab because the cab is wired that way as well. So if you come in and reverse the van or want the radio on and wonder why it's not working and you've turned that on, that off even, that is why. This is your 12 volt fuse board. So they're all listed here what they do. Get yourself a pack of fuses off Amazon or eBay and get them for as little as £10. They're just the standard fuses, they're not micro, the standard size. Carry them with you in case a fuse does blow. You'll notice you'll get a red light where this green light is underneath on the 1 to 13 that it has blown, and you'll be able to replenish the fuse. This side you've got your trips. So if you've tripped the van, try here before you try your main site. And if you think you're not receiving power, the best way to check is by tripping the vehicle. If the vehicle trips, you've got power. If it doesn't trip, unfortunately, you're not receiving power. So check where you're connected to. Charger will work when hooked up. It will charge the leisure battery or the vehicle battery, depending on which one you've got selected to, on the control panel here, but that needs to be turned on. But just leave it as it is, it'll only light up. And then you've got your heating and hot water, which again, these are fuse spurs. That'll give the 240 volt side to the Aldi heating and hot water system. So again, make sure that you might want to turn it off in the winter so you can't accidentally turn it on if the system's drained down, but you want that to be on when using it. Again, I would just leave it as it is and it'll only light up when the vehicle is hooked up. Each individual auto trail gets a unique build number when it comes off the production line. If you need any parts or any warranty claims or anything for the vehicle, quote your auto trail dealers this number here, which are all different in every van, and each Auto Trail dealer can look on an Auto Trail system, put this in and view the parts that were fitted to your vehicle. At the back of the van you do have your large island bed with storage drawers at the foot of the bed. 230-volt socket, storage drawers down here as well. Wardrobe, waste extension pipe, wheel submersible pump, leather cleaning kit, carb carpets, G-Tech sweeper, umbrella for the door. Push the catch down, you'll be able to open the overhead storage above the bed. USBs, you've got 2 this side, and your individual switches on your reading lights. Place for a TV if you did want one in the bedroom. So you've got 2 40-volt, 12-volt, and the aerial connection for a bracket to go on here. This side though, you do have your Aldi header tank. So it's a coolant tank and it takes G13 coolant and it has a 5-year lifespan. So it's always best that you run the system up first before topping it up. If you run it up first, it expands, same as your header tank on your car or the front of the van on the engine. It expands, gives you a true reading of the level, then let it drop and then top it up should you need to. If you need to top it up, it's just the top there. 5-year lifespan on the liquid, just with the usage of it warming up and cooling down all the time, it can lose its antifreeze properties. So they do recommend in 5 years time a coolant change, which is a full drain down of the system and a full new amount of coolant put in, so that you've got another 5 year. But it is VW spec G13 coolant, but you can look online on Aldi's website. They do recommend theirs and a few other brands they recommend for their system. But you do have your wardrobe in there as well. Over the cab you do have your over cab bed, so it's all in the plastic at the moment, but I'll tell you how it assembles up. So you would slide this forward, that'll come to the 2 bulkheads either side. The mattress will fold over, the ladder will clip on the front, and there's a bar here which goes on the underside of the mattress. You've got a barrier guard, which is a length of material which the bar goes through and clips into here on either side. So if you're putting children up there, they're not going to roll out during the night. But what you can do is when you are travelling, fold it back over. It gives you great headspace to get in and out without banging your head from the cab. If you want to travel with anything up here, just soft things only, clothing, bedding, towels. Don't put anything heavy that's going to come down and cause any harm to anyone when sitting in the cab and driving. You've also got 2 individual reading lights, and you've got a large opening window, so open the handles and then you can use the winding handle here to open the large skylight, which does have to be closed when you're travelling. But you do have a fly screen on there and a blackout blind for on an evening when you want to darken the motorhome down for sleeping. Behind both driver and passenger seats you do have Aldi fans, so you can turn the fan off, you can turn the fan on. There's 2 stage settings. There's down for 1 and up for 2, and what that does is it blows the heat off the radiator fins into the cab, because the cab is the coldest place because the bulkhead isn't insulated half as much as the grade 3 insulation of the floor, the roof and the walls of the motorhome. So it blows the heat in, takes off the draft, and there's one here and there's one here behind both driver and passenger seats. Again, it's up to you if you use them. If you're wild camp, you might not want to use them because the 12 volt is going to eat into the battery life that you've got off grid. So again, it still gets warm, but it just doesn't blow the heat out as far as when the fan is on. This Comanche has been opted with the half dinette, so normally you just get 2 long bench seats, but this one's got the half dinette, so it's got the L shape. So when travelling, if you remove the cushions, these two, lift this one up, and then there's this frame here, this lifts off to give a footwell to the passengers sitting in the back of the motorhome. Down behind the driver's seat, you do have this fuse box here, which is your LM41 interface, which is the fuses that cross over between the engine and the motorhome. So in there are fuses for your tone electrics, should you have them fitted, your fridge, your marker lights, and your vehicle battery. So do carry some spare fuses, and it just lifts the cover up at the top and you can gain access to the fuses, and they're mainly 20 amp, but there is a 5 amp fuse in there as well. Closing the washroom door, you can use it as the washroom door, you can use it as the bedroom door, and it closes off the front of the van to the back. To the left hand side you do have your toilet. So to operate the toilet, you need to ensure the pump's on and press the blue button here at the back. The blue button is a freshwater flush which comes off the main freshwater tank. So if you put a small amount in first, and then before you use it, open the blade, grey handle here to the right. Everything goes into the cassette. Flush it after use. If you've got any pink liquid, put a small amount of pink liquid in a spray bottle with the rest water, spray the bowl, flush and close the blade. Get into a routine of doing it that way, and then when the cassette indicates it's full, which it will with a red light underneath the diagram of the cassette here, you'll be able to pull it out straight out the side of the van and empty it. Whereas if you leave it open, you'll not get the cassette out the side of the van. Toiletry space, heated towel rail with a toilet roll holder above, so it does warm your toilet roll in the winter when you've got it on. That gets warm, so be careful with your legs. Pivot the toilet so that you don't burn your legs on there. Light switch, toiletry cabinet. Just showing you water pressure's working on your water pump. And that is red hot, the water there. As you can see, there's steam coming off it. So the water system is heating the water as it should. You've also got a skylight above the toilet, which opens by tilting it back and sliding it along. But that does need to be closed before transit, with a fly screen and a blackout blind on. Coming to the right hand side where you do have your shower, push the screens in. They are just magnetic. Ensure they're closed when you drive. Hang your wet towels there. Also great if you want a couple of hangers on. If you've been caught out walking the dog or in the rain walking, you can hang your coats there. They'll drip dry, they'll not cause any mess, and you'll just be able to wash the shower tray out. But do be careful with what you clean your plastics out with in the van. So shower cubicle, shower tray, toilet, hand basin, it's all plastic. So you don't want to use any harsh chemicals, bleaches. Just simply use soapy water and a soft microfiber cloth to wipe everything out with, and you'll not damage it. Because if you use bleach, it strips the finish off the plastic and you'll get a horrible, creamy, patchy looking shower cubicle, toilet or hand basin. And remember, when you winterize, unscrew the shower head from the shower hose, lie the hose down, mix the tap open so no water sits in the bottom there in that loop and causes any damage when we're experiencing cold weather in the winter. If you require the lounge to create a double bed, what you need to do is exactly what you would do if you were traveling 2 back passengers. Remove the slatted board section which goes here and replace it with a freestanding table. This slides out to here. This section slides out as well on the long bench seat. So that'll slide out to meet, and there's a leg underneath that drops down. And then I'll put all the cushions in and show you how the cushions are arranged. And this is how your cushions are arranged. So these are all your backrests and these are all your bases. Bases forward, backrests in. Bases forward, backrests in. Little cushion that's there, that can come off. And there you have a large double bed. It's more like a king size, it's very big. But you might need a mattress topper or something to go on, and you'll probably want to turn these upside down so you're not getting all the ridges and decorative parts of the leather cushions. Sleep on the back and it'll be far more comfortable than sleeping on the leather itself. Every time you move location, you will have to retune your TV, which the Avtex TV operates off 12 volts. So it doesn't matter if you're hooked up or not, your TV will work. So if you're going wild camping, your telly will work as long as you have sufficient charge in your leisure batteries. Press the cog, then go down to the 3 dots, all settings. General, programs, program tuning and settings, auto tune, on antenna, next, digital, next, and it'll start to do a automatic channel search and find as many channels as it can in your area. It will go quite quick, and then halfway through it'll slow itself down and start to draw loads of channels in. So don't worry how fast it's going up. It gets to around 40-50% and starts to bring in the channels. There you go, so it's starting to find the channels there. Once it's done a search, just press OK, and then you've got your TV working. Next to your consumer unit, which is in this locker here, you do have your telly booster. So your TV aerial on this model is a fixed aerial. If you've got any problems with getting a signal, try boosting the signal, but also try and bringing the signal down, because sometimes they can cause a little bit of interference if you're too close to the aerial. But just try changing this and retuning until you get the channels you need. All your little lights, whether in the back, in the bedroom, or in the front, are individually switched, so you can turn the lights you want on by themselves individually.